communicate to the public and to the left that lowering taxes for everybody is the goal to move the needle on economic growth, and you're not just lowering taxes for the rich? I mean, once again, that's sort of the rhetoric out there.
Yeah, I know it is, but you know, this is all about growing jobs and growing paychecks. It's all about simplifying the code, and frankly, it's fighting for middle-class families rather than Washington special interests that have always held the tax code hostage. One of the points we'll make next week is President Reagan would not recognize the tax code we have today. So it is more than time to make these changes.
72, how many pages is it? 75,000?
So 70,000, thereabouts.
How crazy is a tax code that's 70,000 pages? I mean, is that all the special interest, you know, deductions in there? What's 70,000 pages? It
is all of that and more. All I know it's a huge drag on our economy. And really, look, you want to talk about equality, consider a postcard-style system where everyone in America knows what each other's deductions are, because you have exactly the same ones. There's a fairness, a simplicity, there's a growth to all of this, and that's what we're going at. And
you've talked about collapsing the number of brackets from 7 to 3. Are we talking about individual rates around 10 to 12%, 25%, and then 33% or 35%? What's your vision for individual rates?
So that's the ballpark that both President Trump's campaign, the House Republican blueprint, and discussions that the president laid out a few months ago, they're all in that ballpark. We think, you know, one, the tax code, let's flatten it out. You know, when President Reagan began, there were 15 tax brackets. Today, there's now 7. Let's simplify it more to 3. Lower the rates at every level. Let's protect more of the first dollars that families earn. Really important to young people, middle-class families, retirees as well. And then let's reward savings investment as well.
You're looking to get rid of the estate tax.
I am.
Get rid of the alternative minimum.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you about the corporate rate, because I know the president is at 15%. The House is a little higher than that. Do you need to make it higher than that in order to offset that lost revenue of the border adjustment tax?
So that is a challenge, because there was $1 trillion there that helped us lower rates for every job creator in America. So the working group right now is focused on how we can drive those rates down, how we can do even more incentives for business investment to unlock productivity in America, which we know has been struggling for a long time. And so all those elements are part of it. Plus, you know, our reforms separately, where we bust up the IRS, redesign that agency from top to bottom, which will move in a different bill, but a critical part of tax reform as well.
I'm glad you mentioned this, because there's an op-ed in the Journal today by Kimberly Strassel, and it's called Trump's IRS Swamp. Let me tell you, Mr. Chairman, conservatives are really upset that John Koskinen still has a job at the IRS after they targeted conservatives in the Tea Party. Are you going to get rid of this guy?
Well, I've made the case we need to, that he needs to step down or be fired. The truth of the matter is we can't really redesign or, frankly, do the tax reform we want while he is still in office there. Frankly, the IRS could be a partner in what we're trying to do, but they have no credibility on Capitol Hill, and it's more than time for him to go.
And you want this to be simpler, right? I mean, take out the red tape and the bureaucracy that is the IRS.
Yeah, if you have a simpler and fair tax code, it demands a simpler and fair tax collector. So we're proposing bust up the IRS as it is, redesign it to a much smaller agency focused on one mission: customer service for businesses with accurate information, for families, and then the equivalent of a small claims court to help people who have these tax disputes. You know, and they can't spend years and thousands of dollars to resolve it. There's a better way to do this.
This is such an important point, and I'm so happy you're working on it. I think that's going to be a big deal. In terms of the deductions and the debates going on, we know that there's going to be more debates about in the Senate. What's the biggest issue that you're debating right now?
So probably right now it is simply about how do we get the greatest growth for the greatest number of years from permanent balanced tax reform in a way that families and businesses can count on.
I mean,
that's the hard work.
Explain expensing, right? Because we're talking about 3 to 4% growth, but we're not talking about any additional revenue. So how do you get to that growth?
Yeah, so you've got twin towers of growth here. One, lower rates so businesses can invest. We're going to unlock all that. But being able to write off that business investment in buildings, equipment, software, and technology doesn't just drive middle-class jobs and Main Street jobs. It drives American productivity. That's one of the missing ingredients in this very sluggish recovery, incredibly pro-growth, and also generates the revenues to allow us to lower the rates some more. So those two issues, low rates for businesses of every size and strong expensing numbers, well, that's where we get the jobs.
If you guys don't get this done, are you at risk of Nancy Pelosi becoming the new head of the House?
Yeah, I believe it is. Look, we are focused. We made this promise. The economy needs this tax reform, and so that's why we're laser focused on it.
All right, we will leave it there. We'll be watching. We know you have a big agenda. Thanks so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Maria.
Congressman Kevin Brady will be